Welcome, sales and marketing pros. And, if you're just stopping by to kick the tires and see what's up, to Making Sales Social Live, coming to you from the Social Sales Link virtual studios. I'm Bob Woods, and joining me is the co host of Making Sales Social Live. She's a fellow LinkedIn and social selling strategist, consultant, trainer, and coach who also knows a thing or two about AI, just like we all do here at Social Sales Link. Bryn Tillman. Sup, Bryn?
What's up, Bob? Yeah, a thing or two. You know, like 7 or 8 things about AI. I know a thing or two. So I'm catching up, though.
Welcome to Making Sales Social Live, as we share LinkedIn and social selling training, strategies, and tips that will have an immediate impact on your business. Join Bryn Tillman and me, Bob Woods, every week. Making Sales Social Live. This is the recorded version of our weekly Making Sales Social Live show.
We're going to talk about something a little bit different today. So, we've all probably been a lurker online at some point in time. And, that's okay, especially when we're on as general social media users and we're, burning screen time and things like that. Doesn't matter. But as salespeople and social sellers, we ideally want to engage with the people who consume our content, because we'd like to start those all important sales conversations with the people who can benefit from our products and services. So let's talk about converting those lurkers into engagers. I think it's safe to say that you'd want to engage with people online, especially on LinkedIn, Bryn. So let's talk a little bit about the importance of engagement overall.
Well, social media generally, it's a content game, right? But making sure that we are sharing content, number one, that our targeted audience wants to engage with is really important. Content is what you had mentioned, from lurker to engager. The right content in the right place will bring out the engagement in someone. Now, we can't start sales conversations with a lurker. We don't know who they are. Once they like, comment, share, ask us to connect, and they're coming out of the woodwork, and we can see that they've been lurking, but now they are engaging, makes all the difference in the world. So I'm going to say it starts by creating relatable and engaging content is the first thing we need to do.
Absolutely. And that's the very next thing on our agenda. So that's absolutely perfect. Yeah, I know. So just like Bryn said, tailor content to the interests and needs of your target audience. So your audience is your prospects, obviously. And definitely do not share the stuff that you want to share, because you may want to share something, but your audience may not be interested in it. And interestingly enough, when you do share content that you want to share, the only people who that content is likely going to appeal to are people who are in the same business as you. And, while talking to them is nice and everything else, don't get me wrong, you ideally want to engage with the people who you want to sell your products and or services to. So that's why it's really important that your content strategy target your audience and what they want, and not what you want to say.
Absolutely. I think that's a huge perspective, right? Often as salespeople, we have so many things we want to tell them, but that doesn't mean that they're going to care. So by
Right.
finding that content or finding out what those topics are that essentially lead to your solution, not with your solution, will make all the difference in the world.
100%. So it's like, and I bring up my old broadcast television experiences all the time, but as I was telling someone over the weekend, it's amazing how much of that stuff that I'm using all the time nowadays, because so much of it relates back to when I was in broadcast TV news. But an old producer at my old station always told me, it's not about why should they care, it's more about make them care. Now, in our situation, make them care is, or how you do that is exactly by sharing the content that they want to consume. So you're not making them care. So you're forcing them into, buying something or whatever, but you do want to hang those nuggets out that they want to have or want to read so that they can discover more about their situation and, depending on the content, a potential way to help them or whatever that is, but through your content that is targeted to them. And again, not what you want to talk about, but what they want to hear and read. And, if it's a video, see, or whatever, that's
Terrific.
okay.
All right, what's next?
Next is you have to understand your lurkers. So, why aren't they engaging? So again, a lot of that I think just does go back to the fact that if they're not engaging, it's likely because you are not sharing the type of content that they want to read. I do think that there are probably two other things that are potentially involved here. Number one, you're simply not asking them to engage. So within any post or anything like that, always encourage comments or, what do you think about this point? Share in comments or, things along those lines. So I do think that that's important. And then the other thing about lurkers is people who engage and don't hear back from the original person who posted, the OP, as the kids say nowadays. That just shows anyone else who is reading the content that you're just out there spraying and praying, basically, when it comes to content, and you really don't care about what people say. That's why it's important for you to really engage with the people who are already engaging with you, so that these lurkers can look at this and go, oh, I wanted to say this point, but now that this person is actually engaging with these other people, the chances are pretty high that the OP is going to engage with me as well.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm going to break that out kind of into two categories, I think. The first
Sure.
one, that encourage interaction, I'm just going to kind of bring it in. So I'm repeating and adding a little bit, right? So we want
Yep.
to ask direct questions. We want to add, like, so you started to say that, but I just want to like define that. What is your share in comments your thoughts around X, Y, and Z? Or what is
Mhm.
sharing comments the number one challenge you have experienced regarding this? The other thing that I've seen, and this is still moving them from lurker to engager, is I have seen the manual poll where they take all of the reactions, the thumbs up, the
Yeah.
curious face, the caring, right? And they create an image versus a poll that has, if you think this, put the heart in comments. If you think this, put a thumbs up in comments. And I have seen some really good engagement. Now, you're not getting the deep comments that you'd want necessarily, but in this case, what we're talking about is just simply moving them from lurker to engager. So you can encourage more. You can say, vote by putting the appropriate reaction on this, and feel free to share your thoughts and comments. So I think that's really important. The other things, by the way, on LinkedIn that are innately gathering insights are polls. So polls are a fabulous way to get people to engage. It's a one-click poll, and LinkedIn does a very good job of, they don't show anyone what the results are until you vote. So it really encourages that. I'm going to back that up with kind of a point 2B, with this: you really want to foster a welcoming community. One of the things you said, Bob, is, when someone engages, engage back. If you have 10 comments, there should be at least 20 comments, because you've gone
Mhm.
and engaged back with each of those comments. And what I think that does is it's showing this welcoming community where we are embracing. So I'm layering on top of, or defining even, kind of your thoughts into like these two places, which is you're encouraging interaction and
Mhm.
you're fostering this welcoming community. So I kind of wanted to wrap that in a bow.
Yeah, yeah, and then now it's with no, I'm gonna say it. So to mix my metaphors, I'm gonna put a cherry on top of that bow. The other thing is, yeah, that was I don't know. Anyhow,
I'll put a
so
cherry
the
on
other
pretty much anything.
this is very true. I do agree with that. So the other thing, and and this gets away a little bit from lurkers, but to really change that into someone who is engaging directly with you, you can take those comments and once you comment back, they will get a ping through their
Notifications.
notifications. Thank you.
Mhm.
Notifications that that the OP has replied and everything else. And maybe you get a conversation going, maybe you don't. It doesn't matter, because at that point you're going to be much higher in their mind. If they're somebody who you want to connect with, whether they're a potential networking partner, they're just a good person, or a potential prospect, you are going to be much higher in their minds because of the old reticular activator. If you've heard of that, it means it means that when you see something, you will then kind of lock into it a little bit more, and that's like a way over generalization, but that's good enough for our purposes right now. You are more likely to be accepted because that person already kind of knows you, rather than a over the transom kind of
Yeah, you've warmed it up.
hey, let's connect, yeah,
Yeah,
because you
no,
warmed it up. Exactly.
you've absolutely warmed it up, and to add into that a little bit more, that engagement will actually also trigger LinkedIn's algorithm. So
Yep.
with that back and forth engagement, both on the post and then even if you get into their inbox, right? So you have these conversations, they're more likely to see your next content. And I think up to 2 weeks, although Gunnar Hood said 3 weeks. So maybe it's up to 3 weeks. We're not 100% sure, but it's at least
Yeah.
2, maybe 3.
Yeah. Yeah, so there is a bit of a long tail effect. If
Mhm.
you are OG SEO person, you know what that is. Basically a post can live on for longer than that initial day if you keep getting comments in, and the algorithm, I believe, likes that
Absolutely.
kind of thing. So it's more likely to show up. So when you have people engaging, not only is all this stuff good just from an engagement and turning lurkers to engagers, it also helps you get discovered by other people because the algorithm likes that type of content, or likes that type of activity.
So I just want to say we're saying the OP original poster, but you will see they're tagged as author in
Author.
LinkedIn,
Yeah,
just
yeah, that's
FYI.
true. They're
They're
tagged
tagged as
as
author.
author, right? Yeah, yeah. It's open. Yeah, everybody calls them OT, but yeah, specifically OP, specifically with LinkedIn, it is author, and you'll have that badge there, and it looks cool. And I just, quite frankly, I think it looks cool when people and when the authors engage with other people, because again, it does show that they're involved. There have been times when I've engaged in content, and this is like all over, not just LinkedIn, like other places. And when the author slash original poster doesn't comment back, it's like it doesn't give me personally a good feeling. And they don't have to, because I'm in this business, I don't necessarily need my ego fed by the author replying back directly. But when you don't see the author replying back to anyone, I do think that that's a red flag.
So Sarah actually said she didn't understand where the author came from. So that was good. That's
Oh,
where,
good, good,
yeah.
good.
So
I'm
it's the
good.
author
I'm
is the
I'm very glad
original
that got
poster.
answered. Right, yeah,
Yeah.
the
Awesome.
person who started the whole thing out basically is a good way to look at it. So yeah, absolutely. So I'm looking through the rest
I have a
of
couple more.
the you have a couple more. Yes, please, because we actually just
We
just
cover
by us
them. I know.
we covered everything. But keep going. Let's keep this party going.
Awesome. So I think one of them is use visual and like really good graphics to bring them in.
Yes.
Now, will
Yes.
that convert them to lurker? I mean, from lurker to engager? I don't know, but I think having a good graphic will actually get people a little more excited about the content. And when you have those videos, I think videos are another one. We'll get to that
Yeah,
afterwards. When you have that
another category.
graphic,
Yeah.
that's my next one. But when you have that graphic, I think it will pull people in and they're more interested in engaging. The next one is
Yeah.
video. So,
Yep.
I mean, video creates an enormous amount of engagement. But one thing you'll find with video is, and we're working on this internally, but one thing you'll find with video is that you get an enormous amount of views and not as many engagements. So you
This-
want to, when you post those videos, you want to have that call to action in the text. You want to say, would love to hear your perspective on this topic, or what might you do, share in comments what you might do differently. Make sure, even with video, while you'll get a lot of views, and that does help the algorithm, it's the comments and the reactions that you want, because that's what gets other eyes on that. And going back to the topic of this, we're moving them from lurker to engager. We're moving the silent majority into maybe a minority someday. I don't know.
That's another really, really good way to look at it. So so converting lurkers to engagers, you definitely want to do that, because we are all about starting those all important sales conversations. And if you've got people who are, think of it as like a store. You don't want people just looking at your, beautifully crafted store window and everything else, but not walking in. You got to get them to walk in so that you can start a conversation with them the way that they walk in on LinkedIn, and quite frankly, other platforms too, but especially on LinkedIn, is by getting them to start engaging with you. That's why we're
Wait.
talking about.
Okay.
Yes. Oh,
It's move them from window shopper to walking into your door.
there you go.
I just took your thoughts and tried to
And framed it.
bring it
Yeah,
together.
exactly.
Anyway, I
Bringing
like
it
that. So
together.
move all of those window shoppers to walking into your store, your content
Yep.
store, right? And again, we can't start conversations with people unless we know who they are. So that content that you're sharing is really important. I am going to throw one more bonus in, that's moving the silent majority to engage. And I'm going to bring it back to not just content, but your profile. If your profile is
Yes.
positioned, right? If your profile is positioned to be a resource and have calls to action and links to schedule with you, and you make it really easy for them to engage, you are much more likely to convert them from a profile visitor to an opportunity.
And I'm going to do the proverbial yes and to that as well. Do not sleep on your featured section. If
Mm.
you've got really, really good content, especially content that's getting a lot of engagement, because you definitely want to include that in your featured section, and the freshest stuff possible as well. Because one of the things about the featured section is when you bring in one of your own posts, it will show up how many comments and how many likes and all that stuff that a post has received. So if you've got something that has got a lot in there, when people scroll down and they get to the scroll stopper, that is the featured section, they'll be able to tell that you are who you're saying you are, because you're getting all of this engagement. That means that other people are caring enough to converse with you about it. And when they click through and they actually see the post, they'll also see that you're engaging back with them, and they'll think, "Oh my God, this person really, really engages, really cares about his or her or their community." So, why don't I reach out to them? Or if they reach out to me, I'll know who they are. That's what this is all about.
Love it. All right. I think we were ready to bring this in for a landing.
I think we are going to take this home. So, thanks again for joining us on Making Sales Social Live. If you're with us live on LinkedIn, YouTube, or X/Twitter right now, we do this every week. So, keep an eye out for our live sessions. If you're listening to us on our podcast and you haven't subscribed already, why not? Go ahead and hit that subscribe or follow button. You'll not only access all of our previous shows, but you'll be alerted when the new ones drop, especially if you click the bell or whatever your favorite podcasting platform has. If you'd like more info on our podcast, socialsaleslink.com/podcast. We do this show every week, and we also have our Making Sales Social interview series, all within the same title of Making Sales Social. That's where we talk with leaders and experts in sales, marketing, business, and many, many more areas. So when you are out and about, be sure to make your sales
Social. Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
everybody. Have a great day.
Don't miss an episode. Visit socialsaleslink.com/podcast. Leave a review down below. Tell us what you think, what you learned, and what you want to hear from us next. Register for free resources at linkedinlibrary.com. You can also listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and Google Play. Visit our website, socialsaleslink.com, for more information.